mentioned before, haven't I, how we found this plethora of people who've decided to return their medals, you know, OBEs, MBEs, that sort of thing, back to the royal household, because apparently now they're affronted about all what it stood for and the British Empire and slavery and stuff like that. Attention-seeking numpties is what I like to call them, because when you think about it, without that, really, they didn't need to go through it. That bright, can they? Say, like the actor Michael Sheen, of course, last seen schlepping, playing Prince Andrew on a little watched Amazon series, you know, the sort of thing. And you come away thinking, well, if you don't agree with it, why did you go for the day, dress up, align yourself to it, and then basically say, oh, it's not for me, I don't agree with what it stands for. But of course, this negativity has a knock-on effect. And what I find fascinating about this, and I've said this to you before, I've interviewed many people who've been lucky enough to be in receipt of one of those particular medals. And it is a life-changing moment. It basically says that they've recognised what you've done for the country and possibly around the world. The wonderful singer, the late singer, Joe Longthorne, was absolutely moved to tears when he picked up his MBE from the then Prince of Wales, and we were there to record that wonderful day. It truly was magnificent, and I was so happy for him. And it's nice, isn't it, to think that even though he's no longer with us, not only does his wonderful music survive, but more importantly, he has that attached to his name as well. The boy from Hull did good. But of course the naysayers want to ruin everything for everybody, don't they? You've noticed that, right? And what's interesting here is what you find is that now apparently this even seeped through to His Majesty the King. You see, a lot of people were very concerned about this, you know, the British Empire being included on that particular medal. And should it be sort of something like British Excellence or, you know, British Endeavour, something like that. Now, this has gone on for so many years. And I don't know about you, but I feel that if the removal of the word empire would actually make this medal seem less. People want it. And even today, when you see the list of orders of people that are going for their investitures, you can see how thrilled and happy they are. But this is the woke world that we live in, isn't it, right now? And as I said, His Majesty the King had serious chats about whether they should go ahead with this moving forward. Now, this is nothing new. If you remember way back in the 60s, the Beatles at the height of their fame, well, they were upset and John Lennon decided to send his medal back. But do people remember that? Well, it got them a bit of publicity, a lot of embarrassment for their manager at the time, Brian Epstein, who was an incredibly wonderful man, but loved the royal family also. He couldn't dissuade John Lennon from doing this. And of course, this left something of a mark on the Beatles all throughout the 60s. But it's fascinating to see that for now at least, that's been put to one side. And one might suggest, of course, the bigger issue is this. As we move into a more sort of certain world that we're all part of, whether you can get the pronouns right or you've misgendered somebody, does it really matter? The true fact is you should be thrilled, honoured, and absolutely elated by the fact that your place in society, your work, whatever you did, whether you're an entertainer, did something behind the scenes, or indeed, say, a medical worker that's done so much good for so many others. One word, does it really offend people that much? Or is it the offended who I know they're never going to be getting the award that they would also like to pick up on? You know the sort of thing I mean. Think of the likes of Sir Keir Starmer, who was very anti-monarchy, and then they offered him that magical word, Sir. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.